one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto, and we have a huge weekend ahead of us. We just saw a massive shift for the government shutdown odds. I'm talking about a 30x change, and I'm here with TJ and Drew. We got a very special Friday episode. It's Casual Friday. I got the Bored Ape Yacht Club hoodie. This used to be worth $100. Now it's $5. You can find it on the side of the street. It's basically garbage. It is refuse. How are you doing today, TJ? You looking good in the green. I think that is.
No, it's black, but
it's black. Okay.
All I ever wear. Those are the only two colors I ever wear, green and black, it seems like. But no, doing good. Enjoying the dip. I think, and we're gonna look at it a little bit later, but we're getting a nice pump right here. So
look at that prediction. I said, folks, we're gonna traipse along a little bit sideways here. We're looking at 10-minute candles. I said, look, we gotta clear this, we gotta clear this, and we gotta clear this. I was like, we're going to take a little step down, No, it's just an immediate move to the bottom as predicted. And I said, watch for the bounce there. And I'll admit it is bouncing harder than I thought, but we still predicted the bounce. Looking really good heading into the weekend. But we're going to talk about these shifting odds on the government shutdown, how that's going to have a lot of volatility. We can see it in the derivatives market. We can see it with the shorts. Shorts are being paid to keep their shorts open. And I'm going to tell you what that means in the future. Quick reminder, smash the like, hit subscribe, and if you're new, tap the bell for notifications, folks. We're putting out content 7 days a week. This is Discover Crypto. Thanks for joining here. Let's actually zoom out a little bit. Let's go to the 4 hour. It is looking like we are potentially breaking out. We got a bull flag forming. And so now this is the first signs of the breakout. We're going to go to the 1 hour. You can see we haven't closed a 1 hour candle here. Probably have barely even closed, maybe not even a 20-minute candle. Not barely even a 10-minute candle, but let's just play out the breakout here. Assuming this can continue, you got a very good target for Bitcoin heading back into the $80,000 range. And so just be very careful trying to trade this weekend. A lot of people are saying, look, the bulls are back in control, bulls on parade, but the bears can always rear their ugly head from right around the corner. Thank you, Steve-O, everybody. Smash those likes once again. TJ, I heard you were saying, you know what? I feel fairly, I don't want to say certain, I don't want to say confident, but you're feeling more likely that was the bottom.
Yeah, I won't say certain, but I will say confident. I do feel like it was. I ended up buying yesterday. I did get my buy-in at 65, that's what I was aiming for. But this, to me, this is what I sent to like my kind of core group that I talked to, over text and stuff when that 59K drop happened. And I basically looked at this and I said, I think that was it. I was kind of waiting for confirmation. But it just reminds me so much of other DOPs where because typically what happens with the absolute bottom is it's very, very quick. It's a wick down and it's hard to actually buy unless you're sitting there waiting at the time. It's hard to pull like if you're talking the 3,800 back in 2020 or even the 16K previously, like it went down and then it immediately came back up to 17 to 19, I'm pretty sure. And then it was around 20 to 25 for a while. You had plenty of time to buy that, which is near the bottom. But that absolute 16K and change was very, very difficult. And this reminded me, this is from BitPain. The post-COVID class of Bitcoiners have earned their stripes. He's talking about, but this is the dips I'm talking about here. So this wick down in 2020, it went from about 10K, arguably was at 7K first, down to 3.8. 2021, again, this one went all the way down, again, much lower than this to about 16, 17, but that was the one that was hard to buy. And this recent one from 126 to 60K. Obviously, if you're looking at percentages, this one is a little bit on the lighter side. But if you look at what we've gotten with the gains and everything, the percentages have also been a little bit on the lighter side there. So I look at this and I say, okay, this feels close enough to a bottom to me. I still have a little bit of cash left. I didn't put it all in at 65 because, like I said, part of me was holding back thinking, well, you got all these TA people out there saying we could be going lower. So if we do, because if we lose 65 again, it is pretty dicey to go down significantly lower. So, I guess wisdom would say you always hold some cash on the sidelines to buy those low dips, but a big part of me thinks that was it. And I'm this close to throwing that last couple 100K in and riding it all the way back up. So we'll see.
All right, there you go. Now let's actually look at the crypto prices here. Want to point some out. Bitcoin back at a very familiar price, 69K. But look at these 1 hour pumps. We see ETH up 3% in the last hour, XRP, BNB up 2%, Solana up 3% here, and Cardano up 2.5%. Looking at the big gainers, a lot of these coins were in the red. 1 hour ago, you can see it's up 2.1 for the 24 hour, but up 2.4 just in the last hour. Right now, Pi Network is pumping. Be very careful investing in Pi. Midnight is up. Aave is up. We're going to talk about why Aave is up. Toncoin's up. MYX Finance is up. Looking for the losers, World Liberty Fi and Pippin rolling back some of the gains. But look at that 7-day gain. It's still up 174%. This is an AI play. ICP is down. Canton's down. And gold also with a little bit of a pullback there. So we're seeing some interesting news. Now, I am surprised Cardano is pumping after the dance yesterday. This is Charles Hoskinson.
Is he dancing? Oh, wow. That's like my dance.
Actually have a new dance drop, the Charles dance.
I love it.
Chat, rate the dance moves 1 out of 10. Is this a 10 out of 10? Is this a 1 out of 10? TJ, what are you giving these dance moves?
Hold on, let it go. I need to see the end. He does a little move at the end. And he like stands up and like freezes or something, but yeah, I like that.
Little Toro. Yeah, if you're a judge on Dancing with the Stars, what are you giving this guy? I don't know if they do 1 out of 10, but
yeah, I don't know about Dancing with the Stars, but I would give that that dance a 6.9. 6.9 from here.
6.9. All right. 0 out of 10 from the H bar Moon Boy. You know what? The clue is in your name there. I think that's maybe a sign there. All right, we got one more meme that we're going to get a little bit serious. Speaking of this pullback, TJ, some are going to say there were signs. There were massive signs. This is American Bitcoin. I looked when this is about 2 weeks before the top.
Yeah.
This is like midway, halfway end of September.
Yeah, obviously we had all kinds, we had Polymarket IPOing, we had all kinds of big, treasury companies ringing the stock market bell. And, that typically, if you look at Coinbase's IPO, that was a top in the past as well. But I think this is going to be the new normal. We're going to continue to see more and more treasury, or not just treasury companies, but Bitcoin and crypto related companies that are actually public equities. We've got, again, BlackRock moved into Uniswap the other day. There's another story I'm seeing. Let's see.
Yeah, BlackRock buying up Bitmine shares. This is kind of breaking overnight here. This is from their 13F filing. And so BlackRock showing a little bit more exposure to ETH, just kind of in an indirect way, buying up Bitmine shares. And Bitmine shares, if you're not aware, is a digital asset treasury, meaning a company that has a treasury primarily consisting of crypto, and their crypto is Ethereum.
Yeah, and it's probably feels good. Tom Lee, the main guy there that gets to feel the heat as it's been going down. But yeah, seeing BlackRock stepping up 166% is very, very strong. And again, we're seeing BlackRock move in towards crypto in a very, very significant way. They are the number one asset manager out there. We got Fidelity doing it, all these other companies doing it. And so, I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me say this, but as soon as that regulation, that Clarity Act comes through, I think you're going to see it open up the floodgates for a lot of the old traditional money to start coming in. And if you look, I'll pull it up. I was looking at the longs versus short interest the other day. This reversal, when it happens, once we start to go, I think it could be violent and quick, because there's a ton of shorts that would be liquidated as we move up towards 100K or that 84K you mentioned. And so I think it's going to be a lot of times when you see those God candles where it's like, whoa, Bitcoin just moved $10,000 in a 1 hour candle. Oftentimes that is longs and shorts, depending on which direction, getting liquidated. Let's see. I've got one.
I got an account. I'm on my home computer and it logged me out for whatever reason here. Yeah, we're going to look at the liquidation heat map data. This liquidation heat map, you're going to see bright lines. The bright lines mean you're getting liquidated at that price. It's going to oftentimes push up to those areas. Not every time, but it does do it a decent amount of time. And little hack here. Actually, I had someone ask me about this yesterday. How are you pulling up this chart? Because all I see are all these exchanges. You can look at Bybit, you can look at MEXC. You can actually go to the left side. You can click symbol. And you can also find all your altcoins here. If you cannot find the altcoin, you can actually go into the URL. You'll see where they type in BTC or whatever the ticker is. Type in your altcoin ticker, and then you'll be good to go. Go to the Bitcoin. Let's just look at the last 1 week. To TJ's point, you know, when the moves are violent, yeah, if we push down, probably going to push down to 65 pretty quickly. And if we push up, because we've been in a downtrend, we need to zoom out here a little bit. If we do push up, oh yeah, look at that. A lot of liquidations once we get back into the 90s. These are going to be people primarily low leverage when you're talking about institutions, but people betting on Bitcoin to head down from this price.
Yeah, I mean, even if you just look at this is the same graph, just different visual representation, but it's basically 25 billion of shorts will be liquidated if we go back to 104. So the exchanges have massive incentive to move us up towards that price. Would not surprise me one bit if we go up there. And again, go up there fairly quickly.
And if you want to find that on the left side, you'll see liquidation map. I like the vertical. Some people like the horizontal. The horizontal, they'll often call the windshield wiper method here. And you could change that. You could change it to 90 days, 7-day, and a lot more longs looking to get liquidated. But let's talk about this weekend volatility. This is going to be one of the primary drivers. The other is going to be the perpetual fees, just kind of looking at how many people betting on it to go up versus how many people betting on it to go down, talking about Bitcoin. But the odds of a U.S. government shutdown just dropped, and it dropped dramatically. Let's just go to the 1 day. We were at 98.4%, 96.4 rather. So basically 97% odds we were going to see a government shutdown. That then would immediately plummet below 20% before settling right here around 20%. And so we went out of 97% odds, we're going to see a shutdown, down to 20% odds. There's going to be a lot of movement. A lot of people are going to flip bullish. A lot of people are going to try to liquidate. These exchanges are going to try to liquidate these positions. So be careful trading with high leverage. Also, heading into the weekend, you can see record territory for Bitcoin. The weekly RSI is now lower than it has ever been. I didn't quite believe this myself, if I'm going to be honest here. So I pulled up the RSI, Relative Strength Index. We just pushed down a little bit lower over the past few days.
Wow.
This candle is going to close in 2 days. So this weekly candle has been up for 5 days. It's been fluctuating around a bit. It has now gone to this level. Weekly candles. Let's just look. Have we ever gone down to this level? We have never gone down to this level. Let's go to log, make it a little bit cleaner. I want to point something out. When we have these V-shaped spikes that we potentially could be seeing right here, look at that. We would push a little bit lower here, about 20, 25%. But other than that, it's the bottom. Look right here. Boom. V-shaped recovery. That was the bottom. V-shaped recovery. That was the bottom. And this one, it's way higher, but you can also see V-shaped recovery, exact bottom. So except for the most recent bear market, this has marked the exact bottom. And some could point to, well, if FTX hadn't blown up in the later part of 22, we wouldn't have seen that lower push down. That Celsius collapse was the bottom in June, but we ended up just FTX had so much crypto.
Yeah, so much crypto. No, that was this is very, very bullish. Again, there's a lot of macro, and we've got everything I just mentioned as well, and this RSI thing. I mean, RSI is one of the simpler good ones. I know we did a video last night talking about the fear and greed. In my opinion, that's one of the best, and we've been looking at 5s and 9s on fear. When you get up into the 50s to 80s on greed, that's obviously a good time to exit. But RSI, Relative Strength Index, another very, very good metric to follow. And yeah, now there's more and more indicators showing we are at least near a bottom. And anytime you're near a bottom, you start to hear everybody talking about significantly lower, and like some of these 30Ks and 40Ks and 50Ks, in the past that was, we're going to see 3K and 9K and, all these really, really low numbers, and kind of everybody's starting to get into agreement that we're going lower. And that almost always marks a bottom. Now, I did see this comment here from Christopher. Take a chance on Canton Network. Once it drops below 12 cents, Canton has unlimited scaling through independent subnets, JP Morgan and DTCC. I'm actually a big fan of Canton from the tech side and from the partnership side. And you guys, that interview is dropping this weekend, right?
Yep. Yeah. So it's coming out Saturday morning. So tomorrow morning, we're going to have a Canton interview. Folks, definitely going to want to check that one out. It's going to have all the inside. Drew's really, really excited about that project. So watch that to see why.
It's with the founder, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, so the interview with the founder of Canton coming out this weekend. It's another one that I'm a big fan of as well. Has great, again, corporate partnerships like BlackRock and JP Morgan. They have the inside track on the DTCC, arguably could be competing somewhat with Chainlink and some of these other ones, and very, very, very strong tech that actually works. Most of these other ones that are doing a lot of this tokenization stuff, from my understanding, doesn't really work when you let them loose in the real world. It works great if you control the foundation that's being tokenized, but if you let it loose in the wild in the open, it doesn't work that well. So great project.
We dug into it hard about the treasury repos, all of the massive things that they're doing. Just kind of simplified it, and it's coming out on Saturday. I got my take profit hit while I was walking around trying to do stuff too. I'm so annoyed with this pump right now. I was gonna keep scooting it up and stuff, but
So
nice
annoyed
to
that
see
you,
the market.
made too much money too fast.
Well, yeah, it all happened so quick. You know what I mean? It was a little uncomfortable, but it's all right. It's fine. I'm gonna survive.
If you guys want to follow along, if you are a trader, obviously Drew and all of us here do a lot of trading. We've got our trading Discord. That link is in the description. We'll be looking at levels and all that sort of stuff later on. But yeah, it's good to make money when it's going up, when it's going down, and when it's going sideways. When it's going sideways, it's easy to print with DeFi, but up
I
and
had to
down,
stand
all
on my
good.
business from that video last night. I mean, I stood on my business and I was like, you know what? I'm standing by what I'm
10
saying
toes
here.
down, Drew. They
I
call him 10 toes Drew.
Yeah, no, I was 49x. It was a little bit crazy, but whatever. It's fine.
If there was
Wait,
ever
hold on.
somebody
Back
in the
up, back
office that was a man with the 11th finger, I feel like it would be Drew.
Yeah,
11
that's what he
toes.
calls it, actually, his 11th finger. Did you say you opened a 49X, Drew?
I sure did, DZ. Sure did.
I call mine
And I
my
slept
11th.
on it. I slept on it too, like a baby.
Wow.
So, that was
Very
good.
impressive. 49x going straight to bed. That's big energy move right there.
Jeez.
It is
All
really
right,
good.
brave man. I'll tell you, who's another brave man, Mr. 100. Mr. 100 is back. If you don't know Mr. 100, it's related to this Upbit exchange. The Upbit exchange says, no, I'm just facilitating it for this other guy. It's actually kind of an interesting saga, but back to the guy buying. You can see right here, this guy is buying steadily. This is going to be the date, the 11th of February. Looking at the hours here, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 12. So maybe he fell asleep for a few hours, 12, 11, 11, 9, 9, 9, 8. So Mr. 100 is back. This man is buying massive amounts of Bitcoin. But now maybe we can't call him Mr. 100. Now he's Mr. all over the place. 9, 13, 28, 7, 11. So we got to just be very careful shorting into the weekend. But let's talk about some of the main news we got going on today. Since breaking from yesterday afternoon, I did this post. XRP, Chainlink, Solana founders added to a crypto advisory group, the IAC, or the Innovation Advisory Committee. What is the IAC? It's a CFTC brain trust that's going to provide input on how crypto is uprooting the current financial markets, how to navigate legally. It's 35 members, can increase to 40. It was originally called the Technology Advisory Committee. It's mostly focusing on derivatives. They're tasked with creating clear rules of the road. Who's on here? Coinbase, XRP, Polymarket, Robinhood, Uniswap. Let's just kind of go through it here. Let's see. So Polymarket, we have A16Z, we have Bullish, we have NASDAQ, we have Ripple, we have FanDuel. Keep going. We have Kalshi, Crypto.com, Grayscale, Chainlink, Sergey, the founder of Chainlink, current CEO of Chainlink, Paradigm, DraftKings, Kraken, not Jesse Powell, it is the co-CEO, Blockchain.com. We have Intercontinental Exchange, ICE, they own NASDAQ, Robinhood, and we have one of the Winklevi and Anatoly from Solana Labs. A lot of people are saying this is terrible news. Eric Carlson saying this is terrible. Did you guys see that they added a third name? Sorry, not a third, 26th name here.
I mean,
I don't know if this is official or
Canton.
not.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know if that's real.
No,
Who posted
he's going to
this?
be. It's his. They
Oh,
call
God.
it Jailhouse Consulting. It's his new company. Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the CZ interview with Chamath Palihapitiya, he goes talking about his prison consultants and how there's a whole industry. If you're a rich individual heading into the penitentiary, you can have consultants that will coach you. And I'm like, this was a Kevin Hart movie with Will Ferrell. It's a real thing, though. And
That was
he's
a
like,
pretty
yeah,
good
there's two
movie.
different.
I did like that movie. I don't fall for much Kevin Hart stuff.
Now, CZ said there's two different kinds. There's the ones that are like former wardens and cops, and then there's ones that's former criminals. Who would you rather be consulted by, the cops or the criminals?
Both.
Criminal. I would like the cops just, they stay on the beaten path. The criminals.
Chat, you're going to jail for 4 months. You got a consultant. You can only talk to a former cop or a former criminal. Who are you going to go with? TJ, I think I'm going with a criminal here, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to choose, I'm just saying CZ, obviously he had plenty of funds. He could hire one of each and kind of take the best of both.
I think they talked to like 10 people is what it sounds like in the interview. It was like multiple people, different types, interesting stuff there. But let's get back to this, or go ahead.
Yeah, just last thing on that committee, some people in the chat pointing out the DraftKings and FanDuel are on there as well. It feels a little strange to some people probably, but what a lot of people don't understand, even Polymarket, a lot of what they're doing is order transactions using technology to run very efficient order books, which so in some ways it does make sense to have DraftKings and FanDuel's on there. But they are definitely the outlier. It's basically all crypto and tech. And they're like, wait a minute, how are DraftKings and FanDuel getting in here? But obviously a lot of money in predicting, I guess you could call it.
Oh man, be the worst timeline. All these people who didn't do crypto, and then DraftKings or FanDuel drops a token like 2 years from now, everything's bullish again. Let's say Vance wins, everyone's super, super bullish, and then they get an airdrop and they have more money than us. They're like, oh, I didn't even know this was crypto.
Yeah, there you go. But
we just sold it. Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about this committee. So CFTC, they're adding Coinbase, Ripple executives to this 35-member advisory committee. They got a slew of crypto executives, including Coinbase and Ripple, and they're going to shape how regulators craft policy. CFTC Chair Mike Selig said they want to develop clear rules of the road for the golden age of American financial markets. Selig has signaled that the CFTC will be more receptive to crypto and to start working with the SEC to coordinate on how to regulate the sector. Of the 35 members, 20 are tied to companies involved in crypto. 5, at least, are involved in prediction markets. We went through the list earlier. Brian Armstrong, Brad Garlinghouse, A16Z crypto partner Chris Dixon, Anatoly. We got Vladimir Tenev, Robinhood CEO of Grayscale. So we're not talking about lower level employees. This is a slew of CEOs and founders. I mean, having Sergey on there, that kind of tells you something right there. But folks, we've seen this story before. So let me ask you two. Is this going to turn into something bullish, or is this just yet another? The macro is bullish here. You zoom out, this is some of the best news we've ever gotten crypto, but then the prices just don't reflect it.
No, I think it will turn into something bullish. It's just a lot of times everybody in our industry has a very short time frame. So these things take time. A lot of this stuff that we're seeing, whether it's the Clarity Act, whether it's committees like this, even the SEC is talking about Bitcoin and crypto, the CFTC, and they're all talking about it favorably. This is a huge pivot in the when I first got into it. None of them were even talking about it. Then they were talking about it negatively, and now they're all talking about it positively. Coming back and saying, that this is a better technology. We have to adapt to this and adopt it. So this, to me, is exceptionally bullish. They're getting the right people in the right place. And really what this represents is political interest, money interest in the right places, lobbying groups doing their jobs. So we're being represented at the highest levels now. We have, the crypto industry has a seat at the table of global finance, and it's starting to feel like is at the future where global finance runs through crypto is the new reality versus having to run through the banks. Now, obviously the banks are going to have a seat at the crypto, within a lot of these crypto companies as well. And that's what we're seeing right now is kind of the jockeying and positioning. But to me, exceptionally bullish. Now, does that turn into mega pumps in 2 months or in 2 years? Probably more on the latter than the former. I still think we're going to have a very, very bullish summer. I still think 2026 will end in a bullish light. I know a lot of people are, quickly pivoting away from that. I'm out on an island here in February, but I do think June, July, August, we're going to be seeing very, very strong momentum. And that's why I'm telling everybody now, like, these are your accumulation periods. Under these moving averages, in these ranges, we are clearly in accumulation, not distribution. And these are the times to be buying. We're even I'm working with people that I care about to set up a private fund to help them buy in size, people that don't have as much experience. So this is the time to be getting in, and you're going to be happy in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, especially. It always works out that way. I've been here long enough to know when you get a major pullback like this is when you allocate. This is not when you capitulate. Do not be afraid, double down here.
Absolutely.
All right, and I'll have you know, I fudded Chainlink yesterday. Drew, who's to you is going to be a big winner? What were your thoughts here?
Well, I think Bitcoin is the biggest winner. And really, when I see the DTCC willing to conversate with all of these major players, we see the NASDAQ willing to conversate. This is building a sound foundation for us to continue building this kind of new monetary system with crypto involved. And really the long-term win here, like a lot of Ethereum takeover I see within this DZ, like Hayden, Coinbase with their layer 2 on Ethereum. You run through this like Polymarket on Polygon, that's another layer 2 on Ethereum. You keep running through this, like Ethereum gets dogged on, it gets mocked, all these things. Smart contracts are winning here. This is a layout of a smart contract monetary takeover 10 years from now.
So you're saying it's L1's turn to start mogging the other altcoins.
Absolutely. And it makes me get more confidence in adding long-term bags of Bitcoin and potentially even start looking more directly
let me double click on this. Do you think there's something to Anatoly from Solana Labs is here? However, Ethereum Foundation doesn't have a representative. So is this more bullish for Solana versus Ethereum?
I mean, I think that Ethereum in the long, I think upward potential Solana, because it is a smaller market cap. Solana, the transactions are very, very strong. The users are very strong still. So Solana is in that basket where I think it's going to survive for multiple cycles. But, on the long term, man, I think more so if you have to ask me what I'm holding for a guaranteed 10 years, I'm going to hold Chainlink for 10 years over Solana, just because this is a race between layer ones, and Ethereum is winning the race when it comes to widespread adoption, NASDAQ being willing to integrate and start. And it's kind of fun. I log in on my Phantom wallet, and now I'm getting options for stocks that I like as well within the Phantom wallet. So I'm starting to see kind of this hybrid system being built. But vast majority, I think ETH and Bitcoin are winning. Solana's up there.
You say Bitcoin's winning, but people in the chat saying, well, Bitcoin's going to go to 25K. What would you say to that? Is Bitcoin going to 25K?
I mean, it very well could. It's a nascent asset that is just finding its footing. It absolutely could. I would buy the hell out of that level. I'd be wrong about the current bottom structure that I see happening, but honestly, Bitcoin is a long-term play for my kids, and I fight for my money with altcoins and Tether and trading, right? So I have a longer vision than maybe someone that's looking for a 10x over the course of the next 2 or 3 years. The Bitcoin that I'm setting away is a longer-term vision of proof of compute being more valuable than oil 50 years from now. And so it's a different mindset, I guess.
All right. Let's see here. Which one of us aged after the crash? You know what?
I was going to say, you see your chin and my chin, we're starting to get some whiskers, bro. I mean, look at this. A couple bear markets. Someone asked me how many bear markets I've been through. I've been through 3 bear markets, right? And this is what happens. I'm 37 years old and I have white hairs on my chin. It's what happened.
Yeah, I remember the 2018, 2019 market. I thought I was so smart, and I think I bought Bitcoin the second it fell below 10K. I think if you look, it was like 98, 94 or something like that. And I thought I was so smart. Bitcoin would later fall to 3K. So bear markets can definitely mess with you, folks. But last thing I want to talk about this weekend volatility. There's going to be some weekend, Drew's favorite word, chaos. The chaos, a lot of it is coming from these funding signals. So we're seeing some negative Bitcoin funding signals, overcrowded short trade. There's too many people betting on Bitcoin to go down. Is there going to be a reversal coming? So the daily funding rate has been deeply negative for days, reflecting heavy short positioning. Historical data, though, suggests that a squeeze on bears could be brewing, a bear trap, if you will. Traders are heavily right now positioned to the downside. The 7-day average funding rate for Bitcoin strongly negative for the first time. Check this out. Since March 23, and November 22. Really good times there. Now, the data gets a little bit more funky when you look at the daily funding rate. So this is weekly funding rate, just showing a long-term bearish trend. This is very bullish, but when you zoom in the daily funding rates, you get a little bit of a mixed bag of information here. It's a periodic payment. What is the funding rate? What are we even talking about here? Periodic payment between traders and futures markets. What the heck does this even mean, right? Funding rate is just you open a short, you open a long, you get charged to hold that position. You can't just long Bitcoin and then not get bled to death with fees.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's 12 hours, but usually every 8 hours, you'll get hit with a little fee, 0.01% ish, so you have $1,000, you'll get bled for like $1 or $10 every so often. So this funding rate is just what people are charged every 8 hours. When everybody is short, you will get paid to open a long, especially on some of these decentralized ones like a Hyperliquid or an Aster. You'll actually see, 8 hours, you just have it open and you're like, hey, why is my unrealized profit up 0.5%? It's the funding fees, folks. It's the funding rate. And so when it is negative, the short sellers are paying long traders, and it signals that the bears positions are crowded and vice versa. This is the kind of negative funding that typically appears during bottoming phases. Not because the shorts are wrong, but because extended negative funding often marks exhaustion of selling pressure. But I said it's a little bit of a mixed bag when you look at the daily funding rate versus the weekly. Last time the daily funding rate was this negative for 10, 20 days after a bullish phase was May 2021. Bitcoin wouldn't bottom really till June and July. It just stayed really low. This is under 30,000, dipping in the 28.5, 2,900 or 29,000. I'm sorry. And January 22. So that one's not that great. So May 21, it corrected for nearly 2 months, but then it break to a new all-time high. January 22, you'd have a long series of pain. It would basically be down for 10 months. The negative stretch preceded a broader bearish cycle. Thus, negative funding has not consistently produced immediate reversals. But when you look at the weekly, you can kind of zoom out. Think of these dates for yourself there. March 23, November 22. March 23 is going to be right
It was right around the banking crisis.
Right here. So yeah, right before things started to turn bullish. November 22 is basically bear market bottom. So on the weekly, a little bit of a mixed bag there, but I would say generally I'm feeling pretty bullish when I look at this news. Now, speaking on the same kind of vein here, Bitcoin being below the 200 EMA, the exponential moving average. This has only happened 637 days in Bitcoin's entire history. Or you can look at it this way. For about 2 years out of the 16 years, it's been below this range. So what does this mean? Being under this line equals rare bear territory. When do those 637 days happen? After Mt. Gox crash, 2014, 2015, after the 2017 bull market peak, and then Luna FTX collapse. And now, every time it dips below, it stays under for months, not weeks. This is actually false. We're going to check it in a second. Average time, though, 6-12 months. Then when it reclaims, massive bull runs. Do you think this time is shorter, 6 months or longer? Because that 200 EMA is now sitting at 72K. So this is what he's talking about. These are weekly candles. Doesn't spend weeks down there. It spends months down there. Except for this period right here. It did only spend days down there. Here you can see it spent months down there, about two and some change. Here you can see it spent months below, then it went above, months below, and then about 1 or 2 months below. And then we have the point where Bitcoin is 200 weeks old. And right here, you can get Bitcoin for 1 penny. 1 penny. When the 200-week moving average started, Bitcoin was roughly $140.
Yeah,
So here
I remember
is your data, folks.
when Bitcoin was that cheap. That was right around that time where like people were telling me about Bitcoin and then the dinar, like some weird Iraqi currency that they were like betting on to go up right now. And I faded it because I was like, whatever. I'm a heavy metal musician. I don't care. I want beer.
Yeah.
I want to just keep making my music and stuff. And then I watched Bitcoin go to 17K. And that's where I decided to learn about it and save up. I saw it go to 17K and saved up, a decent amount of money. And when that COVID crash happened, man, it was such an intense time. I had all the money set aside and I put everything in right there. you're bringing me on nostalgia looking at these charts right
Yeah,
now.
you want to talk about
remember-
nostalgia? I had a buddy. This was the second time he lost his Bitcoin. First, just forgot his seed phrase, forgot his passphrase. He would point at his hard drive or his he'd be like, yeah, it's in this computer right here. I'm like, what do you mean it's in there? He's like, yeah, I forgot some password. He maybe said seed phrase. I don't even know. I was like, I just knew he lost it. The second time, and he's trying to tell me to buy Bitcoin. He lost all his Bitcoin in Mt. Gox. This is the Mt. Gox crash. So he's lost all his Bitcoin stolen. And he's like, yeah, but you got to buy some. I'm like, bro, you're losing it. It's getting stolen from you. I don't want to buy this thing. You need to buy silver. And I still have those silver coins in my drawer.
That's not a bad thing. It's almost like, think about this. Some of those silver spoons that are like an ounce, maybe a little bit more than an ounce, they're worth 1 Solana right now. Like a spoon is worth a Solana at this point. Like, kind of crazy.
I mean, they're going to have to cook something up in a spoon if Solana keeps dropping because they're going to have to do something to escape the pain, Drew.
We don't
You're
wanna
in the
go
rock
there.
band. You know all about it. Not you specifically, just, you're tangentially connected.
Oh, man. I had a long crash out on Atheist last night. I'm tired from it. It's a whole thing. I don't want to get into it on the show.
Don't
but
do drugs, kids. That's
Yeah.
all I'm going to say. We
Don't
got a
do drugs.
crypto caper story. I just wanted to kind of tell you real quickly. The Korean cops, someone's dirty. Someone is very dirty here. 22 Bitcoin stolen from Seoul police custody here, Seoul, South Korea. They're investigating after 22 Bitcoin seized all the way back in 2021 disappeared from the cold wallet at a Seoul police station. It was worth about $1.5 million. It was at Gangnam police station and discovered missing during nationwide audit digital asset custody practices. The wallet was still there. The wallet was still there. So that means someone got into the wallet, wrote down the seed phrase, kept the wallet in evidence locker, and then probably went home, opened up a new wallet, paper wallet, maybe different software wallet, punched in that seed phrase, and moved those 22 Bitcoin.
Whoa. Jeez
Crazy stuff. And from one caper to another, from South Korea to Israel, there's now been arrests over the Polymarket insiders. Remember, we were speculating about this. Like, clearly, this has to be an insider. Now, obviously, we didn't know for sure, but the suspicious timing of these trades on Polymarket, you can bet on Israeli military strikes. And there were like new wallets being funded out from nowhere. And then it was just spookily accurate, almost like a spook. Well, let's see what happened here, man. What happened? So they arrested 2 over these trades on their military operations. They're using secret information to place bets on Polymarket related to Israel striking Iran. Military reservists and a civvy, were arrested after investigation found that the reservists obtained classified information, give it to his civilian buddy, and then they placed the bets. They wagered tens of thousands of dollars, earned $150,000 betting on markets such as Israel strikes Iran on June 24th and Israel military action by Friday. The latter winning $128,000. A lawyer representing the reservists, though, play both sides here, told Bloomberg that this indictment is flawed and that the charge of harming national security has been dropped. I'm assuming, I haven't looked at the legal parameters here, but it's probably a pretty serious charge in Israel and probably feels very lucky that did get dropped there. But looks like the insiders were discovered, folks. Do you have any thoughts here, Drew?
Well,
it's not you. You can put the rumors to rest.
Yeah, I mean, there's as we see the gamification and you can gamble on everything. There's a short I saw of a guy that was gambling. He made a bet that his friends would get into a fight, this couple, and then he was making money if they said like, no, you, and he was just, yeah, we can make money. This is kind of turning into this fever dream type idiocracy where you can bet on everything. It makes me question how true even sports are going to be 5-10 years from now. If everyone can just throw the towel or miss the catch, make $1 million because someone's betting on it. Israel, when we talk about it, guys, please smash the like button. Okay. I didn't know DZ was going to do on a B-roll to this story, but it is a subject matter that's kind of touchy to talk about, especially when we talk about military secrets, all those things. But Polymarket it feels like Polymarket in prediction markets are taking over the world.
All right,
to a
chat.
small
I'm gonna
degree.
answer or ask a yes or no question. I'm gonna ask you, Drew, then I'll answer. Can Polymarket save Polygon? Yes or no? Let's just assume nothing else of substance is built on Polygon, or I mean, can Polymarket alone save Polygon?
I'd say no. I haven't seen any direct.
I'd say no, and then they would shift to ETH mainnet.
Well, they
stable
already
coins.
integrated Solana too. I mean,
Yes,
like
they have. Yes, they
they-
have. But
they've
I
already
don't know, it's something to
created
think
other
about.
doors. Like they're letting everybody in. You know, it's not like you got to go through Polygon.
The last time I've touched Polygon once in the past 12 months, it was for one Polymarket bet.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It was like when it was kind of more popular. It may have been right around the election. Where's Josh? Are we not talking about it like someone else? No, nothing like that. It was just he's been gone so long, so we do get asked a question occasionally. I saw that you did answer in the chat. Someone, probably you, Drew.
I think he's doing
working on
esports, isn't he?
FOMO. He's all about esports. He's really into esports, but not Fortnite or Marvel leagues or whatever. He's doing esports with leverage trading, and just get a bunch of traders, get some cameras, and he's also working on his FOMO platform. So if you're wondering what he's doing, he's just stuck in that. I don't want to say stuck. This is where all his attention is. Now, speaking of Israel, it takes me to my next fun account here, Drew. 2001 Live. This is basically someone posting from 25 years ago like they're a live reporter. Obviously using AI, they have different ones. This is the fun one from yesterday. It's reported that Enron can't keep up with accounting meetings and that its audit committee is not knowledgeable about their financial situation. SEC opens an investigation into Enron's finances. This is a pretty fun account. I saw someone point out that, Drew, this is going to get really dark in 7 months.
Why do you think that?
It's February 2001. What's 7 months later? September 2001. What happened in September? This is going to turn into a dark account. I don't know if it literally just started this account January 1st. I don't. This is. Let's see. Announces that.
Is that Bill?
Frito-Lay introduces the new corn Scoops. Scoops are 25 years old today, chat.
Oh my Lord. Bill, shout out to Bill Clinton. We had mo jobs and blow jobs, shout out to that.
Okay, Drew.
You know what? I'm sorry. All right, carry on. I'm sorry.
We were making fun of Coinbase yesterday, and Coinbase, they're now doing a full PR front run. Why did you buy a Super Bowl ad for karaoke? This was the one that was the Backstreet Boys song. They had, I don't know if this is all natural, probably some formulated clips here. This is why it broke through, got people's attention. The Super Bowl is such an overwhelming event. The first step's even being noticed. Only then have you bought the right to get them interested in the next step, crypto. So the question was, why did you buy a Super Bowl ad for karaoke? The response is literally no one's asking that. Everyone's asking why the constant dumping of your coin stock. This is Brian Armstrong's coins buys and sells. All sells, 88 sells. But to be fair, it is only 5%. And then we got one more here. Coinbase. I don't know if you saw this, Drew. Did you see that during that flash crash, Coinbase was out of service for a few minutes? Coinbase says users unable to buy, sell, or transfer crypto. The response here, CEO not having issues selling.
Yeah.
Burn. That's a burn.
Yeah, and really when you have really kind of crazy market movements, it's pretty common to see Coinbase going out. The stock selling, though, it's like if I developed and built out the most successful exchange in the United States and I have stock holdings, you're darn right I'm going to be taking profits. Like there is no one that's going to pad out his pockets if he rides coin down, if the S&P 500 takes a spill down to $5,500 or 5,500 points. No one's going to care. What are they going to give him an award? He's taking money. He built one of the most successful systems on an exchange in the United States. Like, people that are mad about others taking profits are on a low vibrational energy wavelength. If you spend your time whining that someone else made money, you're losing time that you could be spent making money for yourself. And that's just, my opinion about that. So,
I'll take that one step further. A lot of people, they do all these little frugal hacks and little life tips and as ways to like save a penny here, save $1 there. If you spend your time pinching pennies, you'll miss out on making nickels. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's just another one to think about there. Stock market got crushed yesterday, so don't feel bad if your altcoin did poorly yesterday. Bitcoin did poorly yesterday. Apple had its worst daily decline since April 2025, since the tariff tantrum. Apple fell 5% on the news. I did want to check the stock right here. I think a lot of you folks have some Apple stock. Oh, come on. I'm typing in this ticker here.
Pretty sure it's in some of the ETFs we're holding, or I'm holding.
Oh, it's AAPL. God, I did APPL. Dumb. 259. Now down a little bit further. Woo, look at that 1 day decline there. Very ugly. You zoom out, kind of looks like Bitcoin. You zoom out far enough. Folks,
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Ooh, how about that? How about that? They said Steve Jobs dying was going to kill Apple stock. Tim Cook said, hold my beer. All right, we got another interesting analysis here. I don't even say this analysis. I'm just giving you the deets here. I'm giving you the playbook. This is all the investments from January to mid-February 2026. So this is how to position yourself potentially heading into the rest of the year. These are the people receiving money. So who's getting money from the billionaires and the multimillionaires that maybe points out what's going to pump in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months? This is what's getting money. It's a pretty good assessment. Who did this again? Milk Road. Milk Road did this assessment. Here's everything you miss. And he just looked at what kind of sector are they in? How much money did they raise? So number one, stablecoin infrastructure, almost 500 million. After that, institutional custody, 357. Then RWA, 432. I don't know why he did that number 3 and this number 2. Trading and fintech convergence, basically bringing NASDAQ onto crypto rails, vice versa, 205 million. Security, 90 million. Then we have some individual companies here, individual tokens. Jupiter also on there. They raised 120 million. So consumer products remain active, but infrastructure dominates the biggest rounds. Follow the capital, not the noise. The institutions writing $100 million plus checks are betting on infrastructure that connects crypto to existing financial systems, not on speculation, not on hype cycles, looking at pipes, rails, and compliance layers. And then we just got that 35-member list today. I would say start looking maybe for some cross-reference. Maybe look at, what's in category A and category B. And if you have some stinker duds in your altcoin bag and, you want your risk appetite high, you're not ready to just full port into Bitcoin, I would say, you need to put this on your radar and maybe double check there. I see Ripple on there. Ripple stablecoins, RLUSD, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Ripple as a stock is interesting to me.
Yeah, they're an investor, not receiving money. So selling XRP tokens and then investing in some other.
That's what I see. Here. They're using the XRP cash cow to transfer the money that they get out of people investing in XRP token.
For those who don't know the XRP cash cow, what do you mean by that?
So 80% of XRP tokens are held by Ripple, right? And so every month they do an unlock and they put a chunk of it in escrow, long-term bags, but a big chunk of those XRP tokens are dumped on the open market, right? So it creates a constant sell pressure, but the group of XR people are very, very headstrong and they buy dips aggressively. And they're kind of, they're farming idiots. I agree with Bardazan on this. They're farming idiots. And this is something that happened to me to a slight degree with all of the tech and all of the amazing things that happen on Chainlink. But then you see a lack of price action. You see, unlocked tokens, insider tokens being sold on the market. It takes away the velocity of the upside potential of something that's being adopted across the space, right? So you see things going amazing in terms of adoption, but the price action not playing in. A great example in this current moment in time is Ondo. Great example is Ondo right now with what's happening to it. But yeah, this is Ripple's outlook here. If you can go over this is important to understand because Ripple as a stock, I am very bullish on. I think that Ripple as a stock is going to survive. So.
All right, yeah. So just you didn't know, it's on the first day of the month. They release $1 billion. To Drew's point, they'll recover a lot of it, usually 60, 80%. So that means they drop out $1 billion and then claw back 600, 800 million. So they really only drop 200, 400 million each month. That 60, 80% that they pull back, they'll just put it back into that big pile, which then extends the runway. Because, you know, at one point it was going to be 12 billion annually. You can see, all right, well, they're going to be done on this date, but they keep pulling some back. So it'll just keep going out for longer and longer here. Looks like 1 billion. Yeah, looks like they did the billion February 1st. I was seeing if it was going to say how much they pulled back. Introduced 2017, 55 billion XRP into a series of escrows to ensure predictable supply transparency. They also say it's for liquidity reasons and other, but I think primarily is to raise funds.
Well, and
which is fine.
especially like my thesis on XRP, it got strengthened when they rolled out RLUSD, right? The stable coin, the actual asset that can be moved from one spot to a next, do those international remittance payments. You no longer have a hardcore utility outlook for the XRP token in and of itself, right? So, as you know, if we can see XRP as the stable coin has taken all the action. I think XRP is something people look for hitting at the $100. They're willing to hold it just as long as some of the Bitcoin maxis out there are. 50 years from now, they're going to be very disappointed. 20 years from now, they're going to be very disappointed because it's a technology. Ripple is it's a software, it's a system that is they do have a lot of partnerships, right? So Ripple is more so what I have an interest in from a stock perspective than XRP. So I will leave it at that. That's kind of my approach.
All right, now we got another, financial institution, financial company in crypto, Aave. We talked about the Aave Labs versus Aave DAO controversy. Drew, you kind of remember this. Basically, the DAO was saying, hey, we're kind of not seeing any appreciation. You're kind of taking all the fees. You changed. Basically, they switched a fee enabler. So there was something that was just giving them money every month. Aave Labs just said, well, that's no longer your money, it's my money. That then raised the question, well, who's in control? Aave Labs is like, oh, it's been me. It's always been me, idiot. In fact, I get all the benefits. The token holders, rightfully so, were furious. They're like, well, why the hell am I holding this token? There's no value for the token. Well, Aave Labs, they think they came to a solution here. Pay me $50 million, bit. Actually, what's happening? So they asked token holders to approve a funding package worth about $50 million. In exchange, they'll redirect all revenue from Aave branded products to the DAO. So you want your money? Pay me $50 million. In return, it's 100% of the product level revenue to the DAO. This is going to include fees generated by Aave.com, the planned Aave app, Aave card, and some of their other little products that they have. This would mark a shift on how they capture and distribute value. Consolidate protocol and product revenue at the DAO level while shifting Aave Labs to a DAO-funded operating model after months of governance tension here. This is very bullish for Aave. It's been needed. It's been nothing but I think that raised a very thorny question, a very serious issue. Why am I holding the token if you're not giving me any benefit? If there's nothing for me to hold it for, why am I going to hold it? And I think the price, was largely reflecting that. I haven't even checked the price today. Aave, what are we looking at here? Let's go to the 25-minute chart. It's a nice little pump. It is a nice little pump. It is clearing the range before we broke down February 5th. So I would say this could be a potential leaving the downtrend, Drew. We might be finally leaving the downtrend for Aave.
Maybe, man. Maybe it is. I'm still in the process of Bitcoin buys and stock buys. If I can see Bitcoin clear 75, 72 should be our new support if we are in basically a big breakout pattern. And then I'll kind of shift gears and start adding to the first and foremost altcoin that I want to buy back into is Morpho. Morpho is the one that I have the most FOMO about because I took a bunch of profits, did a bunch of things that I needed to do, got out of the way of the crash, seeing a lot of these levels kind of reset back to their spots. I just am being wary of the length of time you highlighted at the beginning of the show that it takes to actually dig yourself out of a downtrend and start really seeing that uptrend model again. Aave is still the biggest lending protocol in crypto. but Morpho is catching up to it, and it's catching up to it pretty quickly because of all this Dow indecision that you just highlighted in that story here. So
Look
this
at
is
that.
crazy.
Look
Whoa.
at that. All right,
Okay.
that's pretty bullish. That is pretty bullish. We did return to the scene of the crime, to quote Gareth Soloway there, but now we are potentially flipping this into support. These are daily candles we're looking at. This has just been a long-term downtrend that Aave first established August of 2025. So I mean, we're looking at pretty much 175-day downtrend. Could potentially be coming to an end. No guaranteed for sure, of course. But I mean, we did break out right there. Held support, fell down below. Resistance. And so, we've been pretty good with the calls lately. I think we do come back one more time.
Yeah.
So
Jeez,
just be careful
Louise.
trading this weekend, folks. That's why we have it for the title here. That is going to be my prediction.
Yeah. And that's why I closed my I let my long close. It's like I don't want the trade to go into the weekend. It's almost like the weekend traders, decide to go the opposite direction of where Wall Street sent it. Wall Street beats it down, weekend pumps it up. Wall Street pumps it up, they beat it back down and try to keep it in that range. And I'm happy. I made like 190%. So, I'm walking into the weekend with a smile on my face. Where's ETH? What is this?
ETH. I'm actually pulling up the ETH chart. That head and shoulders broke down. Did not last. We're not even going to try to say, well, maybe it is still. I mean, I guess maybe it is still, but this is not looking good. And if you include the tilt there, I mean, it's pretty much near the same level. We did break this support, fell down below. Right now, we're trading right around here. Now, if you look, this is kind of, I mean, you can see with the green dotted line, we're coming up to what was prior resistance, trying to flip this into support. So ETH is in the middle of a bear flag. Is this bear flag? You can maybe make an argument, not quite a bear flag, but I would say, what's the 4-hour RSI looking like? Are we getting some bull divs? We are getting the bull divs on the 4-hour. It is continuing to play out. It is starting to look a little bit bullish. So let's go to the 8-hour here. Looking at the 8. Oh, nice strong bull div. Let's go to the 12-hour here. Oh, this is actually looking pretty decent. You could say, let's make a strong argument. Nice bull div here. Nice hidden div here. Last time we saw oversold RSI with a little bull div action, maybe right here. Yeah, right here. So we would range for a little bit, range from April 9th until about May 9th. So about a month. And then we got a nice little move to the upside there. So ETH is showing signs of a potential bottom for sure.
Whoa, man. That how insane. Like another thing that's been on my mind, Easy, is what if Bitcoin and crypto front ran the S&P 500 with its crash, and crypto gets to find its support levels for the next few months.
Here's my thoughts on the S&P 500. And I'm not the first person to like pull this up. I think a lot of people are looking at these same charts. I want to say it's on this one. It is. We have two trend lines. So this is, I don't want to say an obvious breakdown, but there's a lot of things screaming that things were going to break down to the downside. I'm like, I'm 12 hours. Like, why is it doing this? So this is just a long-term trend line that was established. This is 2018. They came up to a top. This is kind of end of the bull run, December 21, January 22. And look at that, Drew. Came up to it again. Up to it again right here in October.
So what I'm seeing is a little bit of a death wobble here.
Yeah, strong resistance here. Strong resistance.
Yeah.
And then look at this. What is this? This is just measuring the bottom. So you can see we touch right here, touch right here. Oh, what do you know? Also strong resistance. So we got two levels of resistance right now. So it is looking a little bit bearish. If it does break above, definitely look for a retest on this white line. Definitely look for that to come back down before any kind of bounce could resume. I do not think we're just going to be able to break to the upside. If anything, I find it a little bit more likely it's going to curve to the downside here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of stocks I've been mapping out, and the S&P to me looks like it's ready for 5,600. That's my personal opinion of it. It looks like it's rounding off a little bit. It's running out of steam. And if you're looking at it from like the 3-day or the weekly time frame, you can see this a lot more clearly. And I feel in my heart of hearts like Bitcoin front ran the S&P 500 with its pullback. And it's not that the S&P is going to zero or that the end of the world. I don't think that, but a healthy pullback is in order for the S&P 500. And so I've been taking time to map out some of the more bullish industries. And, I know that we're on crypto and we look at these things, but having a balanced portfolio has really helped me stay sane, especially with the market pullbacks. And people are asking, do you ever lose? Yeah, I lost on all kinds of different altcoins, but it's about cutting the loss, having a stop loss, reallocating the funds where I think it's going to be stronger and moving forward with my life. You know what I mean? It's, I don't know if I'm soulless from it, but I've just been beat up so many times in crypto that getting out of the way of the major pullbacks has helped me preserve capital and be able to buy these new levels that we have.
Well, on that note, here's where I would start deploying capital. If you were waiting, I would just look at the drawdowns to see what kind of average we're looking at here. That was a 35% drawdown. It's a 25% drawdown.
Yep.
We got a 20% drawdown. I mean, if you just do the linear regression here, maybe first put in at 15% drawdown, like first start deploying a little capital around 15%, save some for 20, save some for maybe 25, 30, and then just back the truck up if it hits 35K. That's when you're selling your kidney, folks. But S&P 500 is just facing this double resistance, so it's just not looking good for the stock market there, folks.
Yeah.
All right, people saying I want to do the ISM next. Yeah, the ISM also going to be very bullish if this thing can flip. A lot of people, it's a manufacturing index. One of the main things driving that is going to be the copper gold ratio. I'm trying to type around my mic here. Copper gold coming back down to this support. Isn't this interesting, Drew? Look at this. Look at this. Now, I don't know when we first drew this. This is just something that we noticed, especially on the weekly chart. I think this is more of a weekly move here. Shows the downtrends. But let's see. This was just a one tap. This was a double tap. You could say the bottom was a double tap. A double tap. You could probably make an argument a double tap there. A double tap here. Honestly, I should have waited for the double tap before I flipped real bullish on these copper options. We're not really underwater. We're not really down much. I was looking at them earlier. Copper is up today, if I'm not mistaken. My MicroStrategy options are up today, probably off that news. Copper options are up 7% on one, down 7% on another. So, kind of looking at some break even here because we have different dates. Now, to me, is like if you miss the boat on the copper ETF options, this is copper priced in gold, priced in ounces of gold. This, to me, showing some pretty clear signs of reversal. This bull div is just continuing to just look nicer and nicer and nicer. I'm really, really liking maybe speculating. I might pull the trigger on some more copper options. Maybe I'll look at if I'm down on any of them, deploy more in that to lower that average entry cost.
Yeah. ISM has been really interesting to me to think about because business activity spike that we saw, I think it was like a week or two ago where we broke above 52 and, we're screaming like, this is it. This is the move. The money, in my view, is going to the stocks I've been out looking. It's Micron Technology and all of these semiconductor, robotics, power industry, rare earth minerals. I mean, they're all experiencing massive inflows right as this ISM breaks out. Bitcoins and crypto is on its way down at the same time. We have to wait for our turn in crypto. The first and foremost thing that these companies and institutions, nation states are pouring their money into and printing money for is the development of technology in this technological arms race. And that ISM mark means business activity is coming back, but we have to be patient enough for crypto to experience kind of that lagging effect that I think is happening right now to the rest of the industries.
Yeah, just be careful. One more swing back to the downside is kind of giving me some echoes of this move right here where we were below, shot above, and then we did a little move to the downside. We were below, shot above, maybe one more pullback there. So just be a little bit careful. You also see a lot of whipsaw action right here. This is 1992, 2002. Don't tell me this is 2022. Okay, this is all right. I was going to say if it happens every 10 years, like what the heck? But I mean, 10 years, 12 years could be a little bit of a repeat there, folks. But that is our show for today. Drew, any other trades you're wanting to share or anything?
Well, yeah. I mean, I could go over just some general charts, because I got I took the profit on that trade earlier here. I don't know where it ended up. Let me pull it up here. I do feel good though. I feel good getting out of the way of the weekend trading, but I think this one is 180.
49x, man. You're a madman.
Yeah, I am a little bit of a madman. I don't just deny that, but I got in at like 65.6. It was our video talking about the Bitcoin fear and greed, and generally, this structure looks interesting to me because it is a higher low when you're looking at it from a slightly backed up viewpoint, where essentially, if you condense this down, now I was able to get this buy entry point, but this development, if we can hold above essentially $60,000 through the weekend, and we can continue forming out essentially what you're kind of calling out the bull flag, DZ, I really feel like the fear and greed index, being a bottom over the next few months will stand true. It's going to be super aggravating to people that are bearish on the markets if we just do a flat V-shaped nasty recovery, and a lot of people walking away, checking out as the price has done what it's done over the last few weeks, are going to be very, very sad, right? Very, very sad. And so that is something I'm kind of keeping in my mind as we go through this process. The one thing that's like making me be patient about this thing is the weekly on Market Cipher. It is still just barely peeking its head into the red in terms of money flow. And so that's giving me pause and just patience, right? I know that I'm buying Bitcoin spot for the kids here. If I get those super low levels like people are looking for in the 40s, I don't discount that crypto can do that, but I do want to emphasize that if this is just a generalized head and shoulders, the measurement has basically played itself out already in terms of that measurement. Now, the mega bears are out there talking about essentially, chopping it up, making a new shoulder here, and then a zip to the downside from that measurement. And that's, I think, kind of bearish hopium to be looking for a cascading effect down. I've always had the theory, since we broke to new all-time highs early in this last uptrend, that Bitcoin was no longer looking at a 70% drawdown. It was looking at a 50% drawdown from its all-time high, wherever that ended up. Exactly. That is exactly where we're at. We're at a 52% drawdown from the all-time high. I've had this theory for a very long time, if not years. I think we just started developing this theory right in this zone when we broke the 4-year cycle's absolute basic structure of waiting towards after the halving to hit all-time high. We hit the all-time high before the halving. We had ETFs go live before the halving. There's a lot of new metrics that I acknowledged as they were happening.
With your theory, don't do like I did, where I basically called the top within 9 days, years in advance. Those who remember, I was saying September 27th, because it was December 17, November 21. I was like, it's got to be front ran by a month.
Right.
My mother, her birthday was September 27th. I was like, I'm just going to land on 9/27. We ended up topping on October 6th.
Absolutely.
3 days close to 7. I was 10 days away. But in the moment, I was like, yeah, but now I'm greedy. Now I think we're going higher.
Right. And so you just got to stick with your theory, keep it simple. And what's made me a lot of money is buying when people called me a retard for buying, and waiting for pullbacks to previous all-time highs. And so, when we rinsed down from 69 down to the 19 to 15 range, I bought this entire range. And I'm not I was very happy that I did. I bought the entire range and then didn't really feel like taking any more major positions of spot buys. Instead, I turned into a seller. And when altcoins got extremely overheated here on Bitcoin's price history, I cheated a vast majority of those altcoins because they were extremely greedy markets. We were hitting all-time highs ahead of schedule. And I hit a lot of monetary goals, right? I guess as we get into this, guys, we are tapping the previous all-time highs. I am closing my eyes and buying these previous all-time highs from last cycle. And I will emphasize that Yeah, all right. I can't say you because I'm not a financial advisor, but I have the ability to jeet altcoins only because I have monetary goals that I want to hit before they come, right? If you don't have anything that you're actually going to change in your life with, a certain amount of money coming into your portfolio, etc., then you won't have the trigger finger ready to go. And so just think about that. I know that we get a little bit hyper extended, we get a little bit too excited. Like, and anyone that says that there was no alt season, I mean, look back to March of 2024. Look back to December of 2024. If you want to actually acknowledge the reality of the situation, we saw vaporware do 10, 15, 20x's in March. And then in December, we saw AI agents do 100x's, 200x's. We had meme coins, billion-dollar market caps, SPX, whatever. All of those things really overperformed. It was just a matter of people weren't cognizant enough to take the profits or to at least protect themselves from downside. It was this up-only mentality that infected the industry, in my opinion. And I just would emphasize to not fall victim to that. If we are looking at the bottom right now, which we very well could be, people are going to regret not going into the next iteration of the bull market with any sort of monetary goals, any sort of things that they can actually change in their life.
Breaking news.
What do we got?
Here. So someone's asking, and how often are these guys in the Discord opening these trades? I need to be better at trading. It looks like we just got a slew of trades in. This is 11:32, so we're talking about 12 minutes ago. Now there was one closed out after Take Profit 1. I think there's a couple shorts got blasted after the jobs number, but Take Profit 2 hit on this. New longs 11:33, so 11 minutes ago. BNB long 27x with long. Don't place it yet. He's just kind of giving you the levels here, entry level. So maybe don't enter. This is the level you would enter. And BNB long there with long. Okay, so it looks like they did trigger. So place the order, or said put it on your radar. Then these trades have triggered. So it could be 0 in 3 days, or it could be 18 in 1 day. The trades come when the trades come. There's not chasing trades in this Discord group. This is going to be more of a just wait for the opportunities type of situation. And we do have, we're going to start working with the new exchange here. We're going to start doing some more non-KYC trading with ZoomX, because we do have a lot of people messaging us like, hey, I don't want to take a picture of my driver's license. I totally get that. I'm not going to judge you for it. And, trading's not for everybody. So, if you don't want to trade with leverage, definitely no one's trying to force you to or suggest that you do. But if you are someone who has that risk appetite like myself, I like to have a little fun, and it's a fun little skill to learn there. This is getting in several trades a day. But Drew, I think I got nothing else. I was going to go ahead and start working on this weekend video. You got a basement coming up right after this, or no?
I do. We have a basement video, and it's really, I have a lot of information about aircraft carrier movements, all those things that might play into this chaotic weekend price action that you highlighted very wisely on the show. And we have a Canton interview coming out. I interviewed the co-founder of Canton Network, and that'll be coming out Saturday morning. So we're cooking on all cylinders right now. I'm excited to see this market at prices I feel like buying in mass again. This is the time frame where I feel invigorated, and everyone that's watching these videos in this market, as long as you stay focused, you're going to make it. I feel that way very, very strongly. So just stay focused. Don't lose sight of what's right in front of us. It's very, very clear.
All right, folks, that's all we got for today. Thank you for joining. Smash the like button on the way out, and see y'all in the basement.